Welcome to this episode of the Aquarius Edge, a podcast for home aquarists just like you. Learn more about how to keep a thriving aquarium and discover ideas and tips to give your aquarium the edge. And now, over to our host, Arthur Preston.
We all know that fish keeping is a beautiful hobby. But have you ever stopped to wonder, could your aquarium actually be good for your health? I'm not just talking about relaxation or stress relief, but actual measurable improvements in your body, your mind, and even your outlook on life. You've probably noticed it yourself. You sit down after a long day, and a few minutes in front of your tank changes everything. Your breathing slows, your thoughts settle, and you feel different. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's not only your imagination. Over the past decade, scientists have been studying the effects of aquariums on human well-being, and what they're finding confirms what aquarists have quietly known all along. A healthy, thriving tank does not just support fish, it supports you. So today we're going to break this down into 3 parts. Physical well-being, how your tank impacts your body from blood pressure to your quality of sleep. Secondly, your emotional well-being, how fish keeping supports your mood, your patience, and your sense of purpose. And lastly, we're going to check in with spiritual well-being, how this hobby connects you to nature and to yourself on a deeper level. This one's a little more reflective, a little more personal, so grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit next to your tank, and let's explore just how much good your fish are doing for you. So let's start with something measurable, and that would be the physical side of things. When people say watching fish is relaxing, it's not just a figure of speech. There's real science behind that claim and those feelings. A team at the University of Plymouth and the National Marine Aquarium ran a fascinating study back in 2015. They measured people's heart rates, blood pressure, and mood while showing them aquariums with varying numbers of fish. The results were clear. As soon as fish appeared, heart rates and blood pressure dropped noticeably, and the more fish they added, the stronger that calming effect became. And by the way, all of these studies that I'm referencing in this episode will be listed in the episode notes. If you are listening on your podcast app, they'll be in the podcast episode notes. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, they will be in the video description. So what the study with the University of Plymouth was referring to or noticing was what is called your parasympathetic nervous system. That's essentially what is called the rest and digest part of your body. It was that part kicking in. Watching fish literally shifts your body out of stress mode and into a calmer mode. Aquariums help people's bodies relax in real and measurable ways. There's another powerful example, this one from Purdue University. Researchers placed aquariums in dementia care facilities and watched what happened over time. The results were remarkable. Residents with Alzheimer's started eating more, gained weight, and became noticeably calmer. They even showed fewer disruptive behaviors. And this tells us something quite profound. Exposure to fish and aquatic life is not only about soothing the mind. It really does improve physical health, even in people with serious medical challenges. And then, of course, there's all the physical activity that we all know as aquarists, and often we underestimate. Fish keeping gets you moving. Filling buckets, trimming plants, siphoning substrate, cleaning glass, and so on and so on. It's all gentle but functional movement. You may not break a sweat while doing it, but you are engaging your muscles, stretching, bending, and staying active. It's what occupational therapists call low-impact functional exercise. For those who are older, or for those recovering from injury, it's fantastic. It's physical therapy wrapped in a meaningful task. I spoke to an older hobbyist recently who told me that his weekly water changes were his workouts and how he looked forward to it every week. And I get that. There's another quieter benefit, and that is air quality. Planted tanks slightly increase the humidity and oxygen levels in a room. In homes where the air is very dry, maybe from heaters or air conditioning, that extra humidity can help prevent dry skin, ease breathing, and even reduce static. Lighting also plays a role. Many modern LED systems are full spectrum, meaning that they mimic daylight. That helps regulate your circadian rhythm. That's the internal clock that manages your sleep and wake cycle. If you spend your day under artificial light, your aquarium might actually be helping your body remember what daylight feels like. And you know those evenings when you just sit in the dark with your tank lights on, watching the fish glide and the bubbles rise? That's not just beautiful, it's also called neural regulation. The rhythmic motion helps slow down your brainwaves. It's the same effect that on your body that is produced by meditation and slow breathing. And that's why so many aquarists say they sleep better on nights that they spent time with their tanks. So physically, fish keeping gives back more than we realize. It lowers blood pressure, reduces stress hormones, helps you move. It improves the air you breathe, and even supports better sleep. It's not bad for what most people think is only a hobby. Now, let's look into the emotional side of things, because if there's one thing aquarists understand, it's that our tanks have a way of reflecting how we feel. There's a psychological theory called attention restoration, which says that natural scenes help the brain recover from mental fatigue. Watching something gentle and alive, like a forest stream or in our case, a school of tetras weaving through plants, lets your mind reset. You shift from focused attention to soft fascination, and your brain gets a breather. That's why, even after a stressful day, a few quiet minutes next to your aquarium can completely change your mood. And then there's the emotional rhythm of care. Feeding, water testing, trimming plants. These things that we do, we don't want to see them as chores. Rather, change the perspective to seeing them as rituals, because they give our day structure and purpose. For a lot of aquarists, that sense of responsibility is what keeps them steady during emotionally tough times. Dana Walstead once said, "A balanced tank is like a balanced mind. It takes patience, but once it settles, everything works in harmony." And you know what? She's absolutely right. The process of nurturing an aquarium teaches patience and observation. You start paying attention to details, the way a fish behaves, the color of a leaf, the clarity of the water. And that attentiveness that we're giving to our aquariums will carry over into our daily lives. Over the past couple of years, I've been through some ups and downs myself. Times when sitting in front of my tanks was the only thing that really helps me slow down. My work outside of the hobby is sometimes very demanding, emotionally in particular, and there's really something special and relaxing and soothing and calming about coming home, going to my fish room, and even if it's to do maintenance work, just being in that environment calms me down, allows me to de-stress and shed all the burdens of the day. It really is something that is very noticeable. Here's something interesting. Researchers from the University of Exeter found that people who spend time around aquariums reported lower anxiety and higher positive mood levels. That was because their dopamine, which is the brain's reward chemical, actually increased. And that's the same chemical boost we get from listening to music we love or sharing a good laugh with friends. So yeah, watching your fish really does make you happier, chemically speaking. But there's another layer here, and that is connection. Over time, your fish learn your movements. You'll know when you walk into your fish room or come up to your aquarium, the fish will come forward when you approach, they recognize it's feeding time, and that small recognition builds a quiet relationship, a sense of being seen, even by something so small. And that's emotionally powerful, especially for people who live alone. Now, of course, this hobby will also test you. When things go wrong, which they do, could be a sick fish, an algae bloom, a failed hardscape, it can hurt. But those moments teach resilience. Every aquarist you admire has had disasters at some point. The difference is they didn't give up, they kept going. Write things down, learn, adjust, move forward. The emotional growth this hobby gives you comes from those exact moments. And another important factor here, or thing to remember, is not to isolate yourself. Share your experiences. The aquarium community generally is one of the nicest or kindest that there is. Whether it's a local online group, it's a fellow hobbyist that you share with, there's always someone ready to listen or help. And that sense of community, that sense of belonging, is a huge emotional boost. Yes, there are going to be the negative Nancys, those people who want to be keyboard warriors and break you down. But you need to drop those people and find people who are going to take time to listen to you, who are going to take time to give you advice, to be a shoulder to cry on when needed, and give you a round of applause when you need that boost as well. So find the right people in your community, and you'll find that just being involved with the right people in this hobby is an incredible way to feel connected, to build relationship, and to be encouraged. So in short, fish keeping nurtures our emotions by grounding us in care, connection, and patience. It gives us a calm space to reset, and it teaches lessons that go far beyond the tank. And now I want to go into something that's probably the most difficult to put into words, and that is the spiritual side of fish keeping. Now, let's be clear, I don't mean religion. I mean that deeper, quiet sense of peace and connection. That moment when you're completely still, watching life unfold in front of you and everything feels right. You know what I mean. The tank lights are dim, the fish are gliding through plants, and just for a few moments, it's just silence. Presence. Takashi Amano, one of the great artists of our hobby, believed aquariums were, quote, windows into nature's soul. He built entire philosophies around balance, imperfection, and humility, what the Japanese called, and I hope I pronounce this correctly, wabi-sabi. Amano saw the aquarium as a dialogue between human intention and natural spontaneity, and that's exactly what it is. You plan your scape, you set your parameters, but nature takes over. Plants grow differently to what you expected. Fish rearrange your substrate. Snails appear where you didn't put them. It's a humbling reminder that we're not in control of everything. And that realization changes how we see the world. And we start to understand that beauty comes from balance, not perfection. A little algae is not failure, it's proof of life. A crooked rock isn't a mistake, it's character. And as you spend more time observing, you start to mirror your fish. You live more in the present. You know, without trivializing this, fish don't dwell on yesterday's nitrates or tomorrow's water change. They just exist in the now, fully and peacefully. Watching them can teach you to do the same. Now, it's very easy, especially with social media, to chase what the community might call the perfect tank. But perfection is not the point. Authenticity is. Real ecosystems are messy and they're alive, just like us. When you embrace that, your tank and your peace of mind both improve. So, spiritually, fish keeping is about humility and connection. It's a reminder that life is constant change, growth, decay, renewal. When you sit quietly with your tank, you're not escaping the world, you're actually reconnecting with it. So, after everything we've talked about in this episode, are aquariums good for your health? And the answer clearly is yes. Physically, they calm your body and they lower stress. Emotionally, they teach patience, empathy, and resilience. Spiritually, they reconnect you to life's rhythm, that balance between control and acceptance. You know, for me, fish keeping has always felt like a quiet conversation with nature, one where you guide a little and listen a lot. So the next time you're sitting in front of your aquarium, take a moment to notice how you feel. That calm you sense, it's not your imagination. That's your aquarium doing its quiet work. If your aquarium has helped you through something, stress, anxiety, loneliness, I'd love to hear your story. You can feel free to share it with me in the comment section of the podcast app. Maybe if you're listening on YouTube, pop your story into the YouTube comment section as well. And if you want me to feature you in a future episode, please just send me a mail at admin@artsfishroom.co.za, and I'll make sure that we can connect, and perhaps we can do an interview to share your story on how aquariums have been beneficial to you. Next week, we're going to get into something quite fascinating, and I haven't yet settled on a title, but it will be something along the lines of the secret language of fish. You know, do they really recognize us, and so forth. We'll talk about memory and behavior and what science says about how your fish see you. And so until next week, please review and comment on this podcast in your favorite podcast app. If you happen to be listening on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and push the notification bell so that you'll be notified of future episodes. And so until we meet next week for the next episode of The Aquarium's Edge, keep learning, keep discovering, and keep enjoying this amazing hobby. Bye for now.
That's it for this episode of the Aquarius Edge. Please consider subscribing to this podcast so that you don't miss further episodes. We would love it if you would also rate and review the podcast, as this helps make it visible to others. Until next time, keep learning and discovering, and keep finding your Aquarius Edge in this captivating and fascinating hobby.